In the summer of 1917, a small mining town in Arizona seemed like any other. Dusty streets, the morning sun glinting off tin roofs, miners walking to the copper mines. Life moved slowly, predictably. Until one day, everything changed. Bisbee was prosperous, its mines fueling America's industry. Families lived modestly, children ran through streets between saloons and small homes, and the town felt safe. But beneath the surface, a storm was brewing. Whispers of unrest passed between neighbors. Fear of change lingered in every corner. And when the winds of fear met the shadow of war, Bisbee would become the stage for a story of courage, cruelty, and survival. A story that has been buried in history until now. The miners of Bisbee labored long hours in deep, dangerous copper shafts. Accidents were common. Mines collapsed. Explosions rocked the tunnels. And yet, the men persisted, hoping for wages that could feed their families, or at least keep a roof over their heads. Some began organizing through the Industrial Workers of the World, the IWW, demanding fair treatment, safer working conditions, and a voice in their own lives. Meetings were held quietly, often at night, in back rooms and barns. Families worried, neighbors whispered, and the mine owners grew uneasy. They labeled these men as troublemakers, radicals, even threats to the nation itself. The United States had entered World War I, and fear of sabotage ran rampant. Any dissent was treated like treason. Posters appeared on every corner, warning citizens of the dangerous radicals living among them. Tension rippled through the town like a storm about to break. By the time July 1917 arrived, Bisbee was a town on edge, and no one would be prepared for the shocking events about to unfold. Tension in Bisbee had reached a boiling point. Fear hung in the air, like the dust that swept across the desert streets. Posters plastered on walls warned of radicals, of men plotting against the town. Some neighbors whispered, accusing friends of treachery. Families exchanged worried glances as the men of the IWW gathered in secret, trying to protect themselves and their loved ones. The mine owners, backed by local law enforcement, saw the growing union as a threat not just to profit, but to authority itself. Rumors of a strike reached the ears of influential businessmen in the city. And in the shadow of World War I, patriotism and fear intertwined. To oppose the mines now was painted as disloyalty to the nation. Then, in the early hours of July the 12th, 1917, the storm hit. Deputized vigilantes, men armed and empowered by the company and local authorities, moved with chilling efficiency. Over 1,000 men were rounded up in their homes, on the streets, and even at their places of work. Some resisted, some begged. Most were too stunned to react. The town watched in horror as friends and neighbors were forced into trucks and crowded onto trains, leaving behind wives, children, and a sense of normalcy that would never return. And as the cattle cars rattled away into the desert, the line between justice and vengeance blurred. Bisbee would never feel safe again. Inside the crowded cattle cars, men jostled for space, sharing the little air and water available. Some tried to comfort each other, others stared silently into the dust-streaked darkness. Fear was thick. Hunger and thirst gnawed at their stomachs. Some prayed, some cursed, and through it all, they clung to the hope that they would survive this ordeal. The train rattled through the desert under the scorching sun, and at night, the temperatures dropped drastically. Some of the deportees whispered of home, of children they might never see again. Yet, despite the fear, small acts of courage began to appear. A miner sharing his meager food, a whispered joke to lift spirits, a quiet promise to look after each other no matter what. For some, the journey was unbearable. Others found resilience they never knew they had. And through it all, the town of Bisbee seemed both distant and hauntingly present, a reminder of what had been lost and of the injustice that had been done. The desert was merciless, but the miners refused to give in. They supported each other, shared resources, and found ways to survive. Some walked for miles to find water, others guided those who were weak or injured. Their shared struggle forged a bond stronger than fear itself. In the face of injustice, small victories mattered. Every mile walked, every sip of water found, every act of kindness became a rebellion against the cruelty they faced. News of their ordeal began to leak beyond Arizona. Sympathy grew, outrage simmered, and even as the powerful tried to erase the story, the miners' courage could not be buried. Eventually, the deportees returned or rebuilt their lives elsewhere. Investigations followed, but the courts offered little justice. Few were held accountable for the forced removal. Mine owners continued to wield power. Families healed slowly, quietly, carrying scars, both physical and emotional. Yet the story of Bisbee did not die. Across the nation, debates about labor rights, corporate power, and civil liberties began to stir. The courage of those who had been wronged became a quiet symbol, a reminder that even in the darkest moments, resistance was possible, and that ordinary people could stand against extraordinary oppression. Today, the Bisbee Deportation stands as a haunting reminder. Power can be misused, fear can justify cruelty, and courage can take many forms. The miner's story is a testament to resilience, to the human spirit, and to the need to remember the past. Bisbee survived. Its streets and buildings tell the story of a town tested by injustice. And the men who endured the desert, they survived too, carrying lessons, scars, and memories of a day that should never be forgotten. The full story of what happened next, the lives rebuilt, the voices silenced, the history hidden, is rarely told. But now, we remember, and the echoes of those events continue to remind us. History is not just about dates and facts. It is about people, courage, and the choices we make when faced with injustice.